no matter how many people are around you, you don't feel that kind of connection to them.
Hey everyone, welcome to the BPD Bunch. I'm your host, Sani, and today I'm here with Madhurama, Hakcha, and Jack. Where in the world is everyone coming from today?
I'm coming from Kolkata in India.
I'm coming from New Jersey in the US.
Atlanta, Georgia, U.S.
And I'm coming from New Mexico in the US. Today we are going to be talking about BPD and loneliness, which is brought to you by our BPD besties over on Patreon. So our top tier, the BPD besties, get to vote every season on an episode that they would like to see and then get to watch us live behind the scenes as we are filming it. If you are interested in joining our BPD besties or other Patreon tiers, the link is in the description down below. Thank you again, BPD besties. We're really excited about this topic. If this or other BPD-related topics interest you, please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you do not miss a single episode. To start us off, how do you define loneliness and how does it manifest in your experience of BPD?
I would say that for me, I feel like what makes loneliness is that you're not necessarily alone, but you always feel like you don't have like a support system you can go to. Maybe you feel like, no, you're not understood by anyone. You're just very isolated and you feel like no matter how many people are around you, you don't feel that kind of connection to them. And I feel like it's worse with BPD because I also get like these thoughts where it's like, no one would want to help me. Like, I'm not worthy of that support and attention that comes with like regular relationships with people. So that's what has made it really hard for me.
I feel like I have to just explain it perfectly low key. I'll just add on that with that, I feel like it's also connected with that chronic feeling of emptiness, where you just hollow inside, and no matter what you do, nothing fills you. Even trying to connect with other people, you still feel hollow inside, not able to make that full connection.
Loneliness for me has always been like feeling kind of misunderstood and empty, and I would feel that like so much, I mean, that emptiness would hit me so much that my chest would physically hurt. I mean, because of the BPD, I was always feeling every emotion in like zeros or hundreds, and loneliness used to get like really overwhelming. So what I felt, I could define it as probably the lack of understanding myself and the lack of understanding that I got from others, and a very shallow way of coping with it. Like, I did not give enough work to myself to understand myself, and I think I made that loneliness worse by abandoning myself in the process as well.
Yeah, I think the way that you all describe the feeling of loneliness is the same as how I feel it. I think the only difference for me really is that I think it also interacted with my sense of identity in a very specific way where I always felt like I could be lonely in a group of people, but I didn't feel that way as long as people were paying attention to me. Like I am definitely that stereotype of like needing to be the center of attention all the time, because I felt like I didn't exist if I didn't have people paying direct attention to me. So if I was in a room full of people and they're all having conversations with each other, it wasn't just that sense of loneliness and being misunderstood, but I didn't even really feel like a person. I felt like in order to even have an identity or know who I am, I had to be in direct interaction with another person. And otherwise it just felt like, who am I? Do I even exist? Like, am I anything? Is like, what is real? This real, like, I was basically like in existential crisis any moment that I wasn't in a direct interaction with another person.
I get exactly what you're saying, except for me, it was I could not stop being in a relationship, or I didn't have like that sense of identity that you said. There was no
Mm-hmm.
like outside of like that relationship. It was just me being in that bubble, and that was kind of like, I have to be with someone. I have to get that attention, regardless if I feel some sort of way for them or not. Like, it was like a panic, like, I can't be alone.
So describe a time during the height of your BPD symptoms you felt the most lonely. What's the story?
I purposely made myself lonely. And I think at the time, I really thought that I was doing something really healthy and really good. But this is how I got diagnosed with BPD, right? So I finished undergrad, and this is when 2020 started. So they were kind of kicking us out of the dorms and things like that. Little by little, I was kind of losing my daily like amount of people, right, that I could interact with. And I don't know, like something in me just like I had enough of all these like bad people and I didn't want to get hurt anymore. So I literally cut off like 40 different people within like a span of maybe a month or two. And it was a lot. I made myself very, very alone on purpose. But I thought in the moment, like, oh, this is so great. I'm going to be so much better now because all these bad people are not in my life anymore. Now I can actually start to heal. But like little by little, I was kind of regressing a little bit more and more. You know, like I wasn't trying to reach out to people at all. I wasn't really doing anything that I enjoyed anymore. Like it was slowly like just spiraling down and down until I did have to go into partial inpatient, which was so great. Like, and I love saying like how much fun it was, honestly, because I think a big part of it is how Zanny was saying, like, you really want to be understood by people who get it. And like being impartial inpatient, you get to like meet with different people who are going through their own things, not necessarily BPD, but it was very validating to be like, oh my god, yeah, like I hate myself, and everyone's like, yeah, me too. Like it's just so I don't know, it's really nice to just feel like you're not crazy, like you're not the only person who's feeling this way. And as bad as it had to get to like be in that environment, I'm really grateful for it. I'm really glad because I voluntarily did choose to go to do that. But it was really hard to like build up a support system kind of like from zero at that point. But I was really alone and I had to decide to be like, okay, this is obviously not healthy. I have now this new diagnosis of BPD. And then I started like clicking back and like thinking like, oh yeah, normal people don't just like cut off everybody and start doing all these like really bad behaviors. Like that's not normal. And then a light bulb kind of went off like, oh yeah, it makes sense. They're right. Like this is what I have. Like I do have BPD. And the worst part of my journey was also like the best part in the sense of like, that's when I actually got to start healing what I didn't realize what was going on. So that was really good for me.
My story was actually when I was my first hospitalization. There's no pretty way to say this. I was on suicide watch at the hospital, so they had you in a room on a bed with no sheets, so you can't use them to hurt yourself. From no door, so you can't close the door and try to hurt yourself. The nurses can just come walk by and check on you throughout the night and throughout the day to make sure you're good. And I couldn't call nobody. I was in the military at the time, and it's not the fact I couldn't call nobody. I know my family knew I was there. No, yeah, nobody knew. Just the folks who I was stationed with knew I was there. I had nobody to call, nobody to talk to. I was just by myself, and this was before I was diagnosed with BPD. So I was just feel like I was the last man alive, low key, the last man on earth.
I can really relate to that feeling. I think the loneliest I've ever been was the 2 years following the final breakup of like the most destructive relationship I ever had. The loneliness ended up being kind of secondary, like that, or like the consequence essentially, because I had never felt emotional pain like that before. And I was basically trying to remove myself from the earth like every other week. and behaving really erratically and really impulsively and putting myself in dangerous situations. And I ended up getting sexually assaulted as a result of that, right? I could not sit with myself long enough to feel the pain that I was feeling. And as a result of that, I couldn't maintain any relationships, any meaningful relationships in my life, because I just kept acting out over and over and over and over again. So I basically burned like the hand of everyone that reached out to me. And that just fed the loneliness monster even more. It made my grief worse. I basically just was spiraling out of control for 2 years. And I'm just very lucky that I survived. I just remember waking up in the hospital on a pretty regular basis. So I just could not stand the pain of just existing.
For me, the loneliest I remember feeling, it was just after I had graduated from high school. I was trying to come from the, very closed off shell of a person I was and trying myself to open up into the world because till in high school, like how Jess said, I used to cut people off very randomly. I mean, we had a fight and I used to believe that that was it. So I used to cut people off left and right in school. And I did not have many friends. And once I came into college, I wanted to reach out and I wanted to make new friends. And I thought, yes, this is my time. I'm going to be like, outgoing and social. And I'm going to like let myself like enjoy these aspects of life. And I did not understand it at that time, but I was just trying to fill that hole in my life because I had an excuse in my mind that in high school it was because I had deliberately stopped myself from making connections. And now that I was like breaking that pattern and I was going to make connections, now the emptiness kind of seemed like it's being filled, right? But it didn't. So I ended up seeking reassurances from all the wrong kinds of people. I used to give lots of attention to guys who were just interested in the physical part of a relationship. They didn't want to invest in anything else. And like, I had such a negative sense of self, or I had like no identity whatsoever. I just wanted to like stop feeling so lonely that I just trusted all these wrong people and ended up being in a lot worse situation than I was initially in. I mean, I used to make acquaintances and I used to go out, but I still did not feel any less lonely. I still did not feel like that emptiness was being filled or anything. And when my friends tried to like stop me from this behavior, I got so mad at them. I was like, I'm trying to create a new life for me. So, like, why are you making this so difficult? And I was almost on the verge of cutting a lot of good people out of my life. So, there was a point in my time when none of my friends were talking to me and I did not know who to reach out to. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I didn't feel like I could stop because at least having a real jackass with me still meant I had somebody with me.
Madhurma, I can really relate to the just like kind of being with anybody just because they're there. I remember after I was assaulted, I kind of felt like the only value that I had was physical, and that like, oh, if I don't give this, they're just gonna take it from me anyway. So I'm just gonna like preemptively do this. And gosh, the loneliness after those moments was pretty horrible because it just reinforced the idea that I have no value other than this one thing. And then it just meant like if I'm by myself doing nothing, I just don't mean anything to anybody. And that was really hard to sit with.
And I think like by accepting like to do things with these people were also gave me some kind of control. Like it felt that like I'm giving them the permission to like take advantage of me. I still have like issues with like physical intimacy, but like back then it felt like I was doing like whatever I was doing, I had the control in my hands. I mean, like, it's okay, it's just another encounter. I'm gonna be drunk, I'm gonna forget this. Like, it was.
I think one of the things that's important to mention about loneliness is that to some degree it's a normal human thing that everyone's going to go through at some point or other. There are a lot of different situations that people feel lonely. It's kind of a part of life. And for those of us with BPD, sometimes that loneliness can be a slippery slope that leads to a darker, more dangerous place. And so my next question is, how do you identify when your loneliness is starting to go down a dark path? And what skills do you use to manage it?
Well, when I realize it's going down dark paths, I become more nihilistic in my way of thinking about things. If certain things that normally would make me clutch my pearls and gas make me laugh more, or bring this warm feeling, fuzzy feeling inside of me, that's where I know I need to pivot. I need to pivot as fast as I can. And one of the ways I do that is I do activities where I could be alone or around other people. And I use it kind of as exposure therapy. I go to a mall, go to movies, go places where I know there's gonna be a lot of people by myself, where I'm still surrounded by people. I'm still, interacting socially, whether it's, ordering some food, getting, talking to a cashier about something, bumping into somebody by accident and excuse me, it's small interactions. Then I start doing more things where I have to more purposely interact with people, so on and so on, until full on I'm fully interacted with society again, fully fully back into my social group I had already had that probably isolated myself from, and just do things I know I could be by myself, but around other people. So I could. It's like I said, it's easy way into it. It's something I do. It's unique. If you want to do it, try it. I find that it works.
It's like that recognition that you are just one of many people, and it's like, oh, like I can be connected to this group of people without directly conversing with them. I think the movie theater is kind of fun for that because everyone has a shared experience of watching the same movie. That's really cool.
Exactly.
Really cool.
I'm going to say that when I really know that loneliness is becoming like a big issue for me, aside from just like self-isolating and things like that, I really start to like little by little stop taking care of myself. Like I'm not eating as much as I should or when I should, like maybe I'm taking like 5 hours to eat my breakfast, or I'm not showering till like late afternoon. I feel like at the end of the day, you have to discipline yourself or remind yourself or put timers to go off like during the day. So just getting back into the routine of doing things is the most important thing when I'm really dealing with that isolation and loneliness. I really try to just meet myself a little bit of the way there. Like maybe I'm not taking a full on 30-minute shower, washing my hair, everything, but I will get in there for like 5 minutes, bare minimum, I'm slowly getting back that energy or routine, like because I'm like now taking care of myself and now I can like really commit to what I want to do. But yeah, I think a part of it is just really like you have to force yourself, like as hard as that is, like there's really not like a hack or cheat around that. Like at the end of the day, we do have to like do these things. We do have to eat. You have to get into the mentality of I need to do this to survive. Like I don't even know like if tomorrow's going to be worth it, but if it is, I'm going to want to like at least have energy to go through it. I don't want to feel miserable. Like life is miserable enough. I need the bare minimum here to like function.
Yeah, what you said reminded me that I think for me, sort of detrimental loneliness goes hand in hand with depression. And it kind of becomes a vicious cycle where, you're not taking care of yourself and then you don't want to see anybody. And then you don't want to see anybody. You keep not taking care of yourself. It becomes this like, even though I am craving connection with people, I end up being like self-isolating and just being sort of miserable. And so for me, I guess it's a lot of opposite action. So there will be times when, if I'm depressed and lonely, I'll actually be craving connection and someone will reach out to me or my husband will like come in and try to do something with me. And I really like, I recoil from it because I have to come out of my like depression shell to do that, and it's really hard. And so even though I don't want to, so opposite action is basically just what it sounds like. You just act in opposite to the urge that you have. And because a lot of my loneliness, and depression just spiral down, I just have to act in opposite. So if I feel like I don't want to do things with people, I force myself to do it anyway. If I feel like I don't want to take care of myself, force myself to do it anyway. And it's weird at first doing opposite action because it feels very performative. There's a lot of like, I'm here, yay. But I do find that eventually, like at best, I'll get into it and I'll actually be happy that I'm doing something different. And at worst, I'm at least keeping the loneliness and depression from getting worse. So opposite action, I think, is a really, really big one for me.
Yeah, for me, it's actually very opposite. I know my loneliness is getting dangerous, or like I need to intervene, is when I stop caring for my own company. I get uncomfortable being with myself and I start being super social. So that is like, an alarm bell for me, because as a person, I'm somebody who is very introverted and reserved. And I don't say it as a bad thing. I mean, I'm really like okay with it, that it's okay. That's the kind of person I am. I'm comfortable sharing my pain with my close family and friends, and like that's it. But like when I am acting the exact opposite way is when I go out and start seeking reassurances and validation from the wrong kind of people. I mean, I'll probably just do something very out of character for me. That is, I'll go to a party and I'll just get drunk, and then I'll talk to somebody I've met 5 minutes ago and I'll overshare about my pain, and then I'll obviously get invalidated, and then I can have the excuse to lock myself up and say that, oh my god, I'm such a horrible person. I did this thing that goes completely against my values and I did not get validated in any way, and so I deserve to be lonely. So that is it took me a lot of time to identify that cycle. What I do now is that if I'm feeling that I'm getting that overwhelming reaction to go and interact with other people, I force myself to take a social detox. I sit with myself and I have this very uncomfortable conversation. It's either with my therapist or it's alone, or it can be a trusted member like my boyfriend or my sister, that I am feeling like this and I feel like I need to be heard. And I would list down all the things that I want to see. And sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But the more hours I'm putting in myself, those are the amount of hours that I'm not going out and socializing with strangers. So I just need to keep on doing that till that urge to just vomit it all out ends. And it's it's kind of similar to opposite action. It's like you want to reach out but you just stop yourself from doing that because you know that's going to worsen the cycle. So that is something that has really worked for me, because in probably 2 to 3 days I don't feel that engulfing feeling of loneliness. I mean, I probably still feel empty, or I feel like I should work on it more often, but I don't feel that need to have somebody understand my pain at that moment and that time.
What strategies do you recommend for individuals who may be experiencing loneliness but find it difficult to reach out for support?
I think most of us will find it hard to reach out to anybody. You have to find what works for you. It's a lot of trial and error. Before, I used to journal a lot, and it was good for me to word vomit, almost trauma dump to myself. But now that doesn't work for me. I can't even keep up with my thoughts. So now it's more of I need to go on Instagram and scroll for a few hours or play some video games until I can get tired, fall asleep, because this usually happens at night, right? I feel like it's very different if it's during the day. If it's during the day, it really depends like on the situation, if you're at work or whatnot. But in that case, I would really say like, the cold water techniques and things like that to try to just calm yourself down, or sour candy to try to like distract your mind, things like that distract your body, enough for you to calm down and get away from that like mentality of loneliness. But if you are like by yourself, sometimes like I feel like for me it's okay to just kind of wave the white flag and be like, I'm done for this day, and like I'm at my personal limit, so I'm gonna do what I can to distract myself, and then I'm gonna go to sleep and try again the next day. Like I feel like um it was really hard for me to not think of that as like giving up, but now, like, I see it as more of like a form of self-care, like, and just understanding my own limitations and my own boundaries. Like, I know after filming, I'm gonna need a big nap, because it is a lot. But you just have to know your own limitations and boundaries, and like know what you need in the moment. Like, maybe you just need to drink some water. Maybe you need to go outside and just like sit in the sun. Like, I feel like it's different for everyone.
When you find it difficult to reach out for support, it's like, I think sometimes it's about finding a balance between being able to soothe yourself and reaching out to people. And one of the things that I learned is that sometimes support doesn't have to be like I'm talking to someone about how I feel and, we're talking about the loneliness. Like, I think one of the things that I do is I just make plans to do something with somebody. I'm a very external processor, so I felt like I always had to talk about my feelings with everyone all the time. Like, I have a group of friends where we just like go thrift shopping together. We do also talk about our feelings sometimes, but we don't do it all the time because I think we all recognize that like there's only so much that you can do that before it just feels draining, right? So like we'll go get a coffee and go thrifting on a Friday night, and it's like it's a great way to overcome that sense of loneliness. I think that as a way of coping can be really useful if you struggle to find people who you can have those like conversations with. I do think it's important to try to find those people as well, but I think it can be I think it can just be a good way to deal with that loneliness in a way that is just less direct.
Yeah, like I said, touched by this in the previous question. Like I said, I just do things while by myself, but surrounded by other people to get the connection. But if that isn't viable, my second option is a little more forceful. It's only works because I have siblings. I will force one of my siblings to talk to me and listen to me just talk about anything random, whether it's vent about my emotions, comic books, this girl, this my new Instagram crush, whatever. I just force them just to listen. I'm putting you in this corner, and you're just gonna hear me talk for this next 45 minutes to an hour. And once that's done, I'm good to go and I'm out. But yeah, but again, that's only viable. I have siblings and other people who I consider siblings. So if you're in that same situation as me, sometimes, and you're the oldest, it helps I'm the oldest too. Just force them. They have no choice. You're bigger than them.
Jack 2024. Kidnap your siblings.
Kidnap your siblings.
I have actually, like, most of my life, I've been super bad at reaching out to people. So, like, from a very young age, I kind of built up this coping mechanism to what I do when I feel lonely is that I talk to myself. Like sometimes I just send voice messages on my WhatsApp to my own number. And after I've spoken all of that, then I go to the washroom and like make a cup of tea and then I sit down and I listen to that. And I just don't know how it happens, but it just helps me feel like somebody is on the other side ready to listen to my rants, and sometimes I make videos of myself talking in the mirror, And it's like I'm having a conversation on this side, and the person on the other side is the one I'm having the conversation with. And bonus points if I don't identify with the person I see in the mirror, because it's good for me. It's like it's a whole new another person. So I'm actually having a conversation. So like even if I'm like really, really dissociating at that point, if I don't feel like the person I am, it still helps me ground myself to reality. I feel like that's one aspect of my mental health that I really have a control on. So, I mean, yeah, that is very personal thing, and I hope it helps people.
I talk to myself all the time, so
I do too, but your way sounds so much more healthier than my way. Like so much more healthier. Like, oh wow, that's very unique. I like that.
yeah. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We hope you got a nugget of wisdom to take with you on your journey. Shout out to our BPD besties on Patreon for voting for this topic. Thank you so much. We had a lot of fun talking about BPD and loneliness. Next week, we will be back for our last discussion topic of the season. So we will see you next time.
Peace.